Okay. Oh, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy spring, official, right? All the leaves are out, which means all the pollen is out. So I had this interesting thought on the drive over, right? Because I have a little bit of allergy stuff, in me. So I've got a little bit of like the just irritation. I'm like, what do you do when the world irritates you, right? Just being awake, just being alive irritates, everything right now. So what do you do when that's the state that you're in, right? The world irritates you. And that's why we have this practice, right? Because there is always the potential that there's going to be something that is pushing at our edges. And then what usually happens is that the thing that's pushing at us is we kind of try and get away from it, right? And that's the what we call the aversion, right? We're always trying to move away from what causes us discomfort. But what we have the other capacity to do, or the equal capacity to do, is to continue to meet the circumstances of the world exactly as they are with everything that we have, right? Everything that we are. So this is the season, again, that I typically say is the Ramayana season, because it's Hanuman's birthday, it's Ram's birthday, it's all of those individuals. That's the energy that we're in. And that's the energy of coming into your life with full devotion, right? Which means that you come at this world, you come into the world with everything that you possibly can. So there's none of this sort of feeling that, well, today I don't really feel 100%, so I'm just gonna, try and get through. But there's a feeling of everything that I do in this world has a significance, right? Even if I can't see it, I don't know what it is. I don't have to take it super seriously, but I have to recognize that everything I do has a significance, right? So when I make those choices, even when the world is irritating me, is I make those choices based upon who I am, not what I see out here, right? Because that's the challenge yoga says that we have, is we make our decisions based on what we see out here, thinking that we can change it, we can make it better, we can manipulate it, get what we want, get away from what we don't want, and it never works, right? Our irritation builds because we try so hard to do that and it doesn't work, right? So the practice, they say, is you come to be at a peaceful place when you just keep meeting the world with everything that you are. Leave nothing back, right? Hold nothing back, even if you have no idea what you're doing, no idea where it's going, no idea why it's important. You treat everything as though it's significant, right? So comfortable seat, let your eyes closed. It's the teaching of Hanuman, right? And this is what it means to live with devotion. Is it doesn't mean that we have this like happy feeling about everything, but devotion is that I leave nothing of myself out. I leave nothing of myself behind, even if I'm doing something that seems like it can't possibly be that important, because we never know, right? But everything that you do is significant. How you live in this world is significant. So with the eyes closed, just find your breath moving in and out. I think we always have to unpack those words. We hear things like devotion and, our mind understands it however it understands it. But if our heart doesn't feel it, then it's just something we're thinking about. So as you breathe in and you breathe out, feel the breath as it moves physically. And can you start to breathe from your actual heart? So that means you actually have to feel it, right? Not your physical heart trying to breathe, but can you feel the actual center of that emotional self, the part that feels its way through the world? And can you let each breath touch that? So there's no separation. It's not your mind deciding what you're going to do. Can you let your heart be part of that conversation of this is my heart meeting the world and the world interacting with my heart space? Not as easy to do. Or rather, it is easy, but we think that it's difficult. Breath in, breath out from the heart, to and from. You get this sensation that maybe there's that feeling part of us that's always just spreading out into the world. We don't have to hold that back. We don't have to protect it. Why? Because it has the capacity to just move into, this is heart center energy, heart chakra energies. It has the capacity to move into any container. That's our practice, is to let the heart feel and not be so much in the mind thinking that it's in control. One more deep breath to and from the heart. And then as you exhale, bring the hands together in front of the heart center. Let the thumbs touch the sternum, lift your sternum up, widen the elbows. And we'll open with the sound of Om, deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Then go ahead and find your way forward onto hands and knees. Good. Just start with a little bit of cat and cow. So knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Inhale, spine long, dropping through the belly, lifting through the front of the chest. Then exhaling, curling and rounding, trying to get that sensation of the tailbone and the sternum moving towards each other and the rib cage really pulling all the way up towards the sky. And then continue to move between those 2 points. Good. Inhale long, exhale longer. As I'm talking, I'm starting to realize I went to a kirtan last night, and kirtan is, bhakti. It's a singing practice. Not that you're singing per se, but you are call and response, right? Someone's leading the chant and the group responds back. And they sometimes get a little bit wild, as I think that they should, but so you don't realize, that for maybe an hour you're like screaming Hare Krishna. And then the next day you're like, oh, screaming Hare Krishna last night. Everything you do is significant. Do you do it with full investment? Or do you hold something back? Nice, you guys. Move yourself just a tiny bit faster. So you're still cat and cow, but move yourself a tiny bit faster. Good. And then find your way back to stillness, please. Nice job. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. Good. Pedaling the feet just a little bit, letting your hips sway from side to side. Nice. And let the heels just softly settle towards the floor. So again, it's not a pressing them down to the floor. It's a softening of your knees and seeing if you can just stretch through those heels a little deeper. Good. Nice, you guys. And then walk your feet forward towards your hands, coming towards the top of your mat. Good. Feet underneath the hips. Beautiful. Bend your knees. Please drop your seat nice and low. Keep your fingertips on the floor or block. So it's like you're dropping your butt into chair, but you're keeping your hands on the floor. Good. You can drop your head, start to round into your spine to pull your belly in and up off of your thighs, but drop through your tail a little bit deeper. Good. Press into those heels. And then just letting the hands stay where they are, start to straighten the legs again, pressing your hips up towards the sky. Watch that tendency to want to push back through your knees. All right, so keep lengthening up with your weight going slightly forward and then root into your heels again. Stretch those ankles. Good. And then bend your knees again deeply all the way back towards chair. So your butt goes back, your knees are over top of the ankles. And then scoop into your belly again, round. So get into that feeling of lengthening and expanding the lower back. And then hands on the floor, continue to straighten the legs, press your hips up towards the sky, push down through your heels. Nice. One more time, bend your knees a lot, drop your butt. Good. Scoop into your low belly here. Get that feeling that you're widening your inner knees, but you're squeezing your shins. Good. And then start to press your hips up towards the sky again, pushing down through your heels. Watch that you don't lock back through your knees. Keep your weight moving forward. Excellent. And then bring your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Good, you guys. Inhale the arms all the way up to the sky. Interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands all the way up so you get that long stretch. Come on up onto your tippy toes as you're reaching up. Come up onto the balls of your feet, lift your heels. And again, get that squeeze of your inner shin. So root down into the big toe mounds of your feet. Good. And then let your heels drop back down to the floor. Keep your arms where they are. Bend your knees, dropping back into that chair pose again without letting the ribs fall forward. So stay really hollow in your upper back. Good. And then come all the way back up to stand again. Rise up onto the balls of your feet. As you come up onto your tippy toes, tops of the thighs go back, ribs draw in. Pull up from the base of your spine, all the way up from your inner thighs, pull up. Good. Then let your heels drop back down, bend your knees again, drop back into that chair pose, trying to keep that feeling of lengthening your spine the same, even though you're bending your knees. Good. And then come all the way back up to stand one more time. Come up onto your tippy toes, rise up. Again, squeeze through those inner thighs, inner shins, pull up from your belly. Good. And let your heels drop back down. Nice. You don't have to drop into the chair this time. Stay upright. But round your back, take your arms forward in front of you. So pressing out as you pull your ribs back. Nice. And then stretch the arms back up towards the sky. Good. Release the hands, please. Left leg is going to be your standing leg. Draw your right knee up in towards your chest. Good. Let that knee start to go wide for tree pose, making sure that that left hip widens to the left at the same time. And then right foot finds its resting place on the inside of the left leg, wherever you'd like to place it. Good. Nice, you guys. Hands to heart center, please. So this feeling of the hands press in towards the center, but the elbows widen. So squeeze your inner thigh and your foot towards each other. And at the same time, feel like there's this widening of your lower back. Good. Stretch the arms up to the sky, please. Nice. That same feeling of trying to pull up through that long length of your leg. Almost like you were going to rise up onto your tippy toes here if you really want to go for that try. Good. And then release the heel back to the floor. Please spin that right knee forward. Good. Place the foot down to the floor underneath your hips. Bend your knees. Drop back towards chair. And then left hand comes to your outer right knee. Right hand comes to your sacrum. Find your twist here, drawing the navel in, turning your belly to the right. Don't let your knees come out of sync with each other. Good. So belly in, ribs back, throat back. Nice, you guys. Excellent. Come all the way back to center, please. All the way up to stand. And then release the arms. So right leg, standing leg, tree pose, second side. Take your left knee up in towards your chest. Good. And then again, let that knee start to go wide. As it goes wide, don't let that right hip turn with you. Pull it wide in the opposite direction. And then place that left foot to the inside of the right leg, wherever you want to place it. Good. Right? The position of the foot is not so important. What matters is that you still have this drawing in towards the midline. So you're pressing the thigh or the leg and the foot against each other, and then using that as an awareness, pulling your spine longer, hands at heart center. Good. The same thing, fingertips pressed together, but elbows wide and chest lifts straight through that center line. Nice. I was talking this week about this concept of things being linear or vertical versus horizontal. So how much is your mind focused in trying to get going in one direction, so much so that you become blind to everything that is around you, all the other possibilities. That feeling like you're going to rise up onto your tippy toes, maybe you go for that in reality, or just feel yourself pulling up a little taller through your spine, through your legs. Good. Release that foot down to the floor. Nice, you guys. Spin that knee forward, please. Step it down. And then bend your knees, taking the arms up alongside your ears. Right hand reaches for outer left knee. Left hand comes back to your sacrum. Twist to the left. Again, keeping the knees in line with each other, scooping through that low belly. So don't let your ribs fall forward here. Good. And then long throat. Draw your throat back in space. Nice. And then release, please. Hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. Excellent, you guys. Step your right leg back just enough so that both legs can be straight and the feet flat. Parsvottanasana. Good. Use blocks underneath the hands if you like. Good. Bend your front knee just a little bit. So as you bend that knee, you're able to turn your right hip forward just a little bit more. Good. And then scooping into your belly, press through that heel and draw the top of that left thigh up and back. Pull your hips back. Nice. Do it again. Bend that front knee. And as the knee bends, you can rotate that right hip forward, pull it up and wide. And then scooping into your belly, press into that foot, pull back through your whole pelvis. Good. And then come up on the heel of that front foot, so lift the toes up completely. Good. Front foot. There you go. And drag down and back on that heel. Same feeling of trying to pull the hips back in space to get longer through that leg. Nice. And then bend the left knee, please, or bring the foot flat first. Bend your left knee all the way, and then slide that right leg back all the way into a full lunge. Right hand stays where it is. Left arm comes to the sky, spinal twist. Good. Press that right hip up and wide, and draw that left thigh crease back. Good. Pull your ribs back in space, throat back in space. Nice, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor, please. And then drop your back knee. Yep. Shift your right hip back so it's in line with that, and take your left leg forward to straight. Come up on your heel, Ardha Hanumanasana. Good. Walk your hands forward towards your ankle any amount. Nice. And curl those toes back, dig down to the heel, drag that thigh up and back. Good. So you still have this feeling of engaging through the low part of your belly and turning that right hip forward. Nice, you guys. And then you have the option here, if you choose, to start to walk your hands towards that outer edge of your left leg. So taking your right hand towards the baby toe edge of the foot, maybe anchoring the forearm against that outer shin. You could also keep the hand inside. But going for that twist, if you'd like, left hand can come to your sacrum, start to turn your belly to the left. Find your balance, long throat. Imagine that you're going to take your right armpit to the tips of your left toes, and then draw your throat back from there. Nice, Laura. Got it, Andy. Beautiful, Heidi. Send your butt back. Good. And then unwind yourself all the way back to center. Deep breath in, get long. Exhale, dropping the forehead towards your front shin any amount. Again, even if you have to imagine that it's going to get there one day, imagine it. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Good. Bring that heel back. So you come back into that low lunge. Lift your back knee, please. And then inhale the arms up to the sky. Come into high lunge. Good. Squeezing the feet towards each other. Send your back thigh up a little higher. Nice. Hands to heart center, please. Prayer twist. Right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Good. Nice, you guys. Keep that back thigh up higher as you're leaning your torso forward. And then remember that as you press that elbow against the knee, draw your navel back, draw your throat back towards that upper right-hand corner of your mat. Beautiful. Nicely done. Good. Come back to center, arms to the sky, high lunge. Don't give up on your pose. And then exhale, release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Nice, you guys. And then come forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Nice. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Point the toes back behind you. Drag back on your hands, rise up into cobra, lift up head, neck, and chest. Good. Here in your cobra, press down into your feet and feel your shins drawing forward. And draw your navel in and back, like you're actually trying to move away from the floor, from your rib cage. And now heart to the sky, right? You forget that even in cobra, you can keep adjusting. And then release, please. Forehead to the floor. Bend both knees, keep your heels in towards your butt. Root down through the tops of those knees, so keeping your knees down, you get that little lift at the front of your thigh creases. And then pull forward with your low belly. Lengthen your tail. Rise up to cobra again with your knees bent. Keep your knees rooting down. Watch that as you squeeze your butt, your knees are going to lift up. So this is to get you to not squeeze your butt so hard. Good. Drag back on your hands like you're going to bring your armpits forward towards the tips of your fingers. Good. And then the shoulders are wide, the throat is long. And then slowly release back down. Nice, you guys. Press back to child's pose. So come up through hands and knees. Knees go wide. In case you did squeeze your butt a lot in your cobra pose and you're like, my low back didn't like it. Child's pose. Breathe really deep. And press into your shins. Nice, you guys. I was saying on Wednesday that we're working with always is our basic forgetfulness. It's very easy to forget that there are other options than what your habit is. It's very easy to forget that there's a lot going on beyond what you can see. It's very easy to forget that you are made of something that you can't see. right? The true essence of you is not something that you can physically touch. If we reach for those deeper spaces inside and we move through the world with everything of ourselves that we can find, that we can discover, we start to feel a sense of completion, not because we know everything, but because we're not holding back. So everything is revealed, right? Find out who you are because you're not trying to hide from yourself. Come back up onto hands and knees. You come back to downward facing dog. Pedal your feet a little bit, let the knees rock from side to side. And then steady your heels. And again, steadying your heels means that there's a softening to your knees, because if you are a bendy knee person, you always push back through your knees, which means that your calves, your ankles don't really get a lot of stretch because everything just stops right at that joint, right? So soften your knees and see if you can feel yourself lengthening your calves down into your ankles. Good. And then the right foot steps forward, please, between the hands. Left foot steps forward just a little bit. Take both legs straight, Parsvottanasana. Second side, use blocks under the hand if you like. And then the same thing is true here. If you are a bending knee person, is you have already locked back through that back knee. So bend your front knee first so that you have a little bit of space. And then scoop into your low belly. Try and lift that right hip higher and wider. And now if you start to straighten that front leg, don't focus on pushing back through the knees. Try and pull your hips up and back at a diagonal. Good. So you have so much space that you never even have the chance to lock that back knee because you're just pulling your hips up and back. Not straight back, but up. Good. Bend that front knee again. Soften. Scoop that right low belly. Pull that hip wide. Good. And then start to straighten the leg again by pressing through your feet and trying to lift your hips higher. Good. Nice, you guys. Do it one more time. Bend that right knee. Good. Scoop and lift that right hip. Beautiful. And then start to press into that foot. Pull the hips back in space. Press through the legs. Nice, you guys. Good. And then come up on the heel of that front foot, please, to lift the toes. Dig down and drag back. So again, you have the sensation of that leg is active. It's not just a stretch that's pulling, but it's you actually trying to pull that thigh bone up and into your hip socket. Nice. Right hip high and wide. That's it. And then go ahead and release that foot flat to the floor, please. Bend the knee, and then slide your left leg all the way back into a full lunge. Left hand plants inside that front foot. Right arm comes to the sky, spinal twist. Good. Pressing your left hip wide to the left. Pull that right butt cheek in. Thigh crease back. Good. Then lean your throat back just a little bit more. Move your belly away from your front thigh. Nice. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Drop your left knee and then move your hip back in space so it's directly on top of that knee. Take your right leg forward to straight. Come up on the heel. Good. If your butt is sitting back towards that left heel, move everything forward so that you have that neutral line where your left hip and your left knee are just stacked on top of each other. Yeah. Good. Walk your hand forward towards your ankles, please. Good. So that right heel is dragging down and back, just like you had in Parsvottanasana. Your groins are going back. Your butt is moving back. Good. And now see if you can take your armpits forward and have that little bit of a squeeze of the shoulder blades behind your heart. Nice. Good, you guys. The idea is how long can you get here, not how low can you get into that forward fold. I'd rather you be super duper lifted, belly not even close to your thigh, and moving your shoulder blades onto your back. That's going to give you realistic stretch on your spine. Get your groins to move back. Excellent. Yeah, if you want to be good at splits, you got to work through that lower back, middle back. Some of you are like, I don't want to be good at split. not on my agenda. Good. Either stay here or start to move towards that twist, please. Taking the left hand towards that outer right shin. Or again, the hand can plant inside the foot as well. Right hand comes back to your sacrum or to your hip. Start to turn your belly to the right. That means your left rib cage, your left shoulder has to drop under so you can stack that right rib cage on top. Good. Pull your left hip back and in to balance that. You got to press your forearm and your shin against each other if you've got that arm against the leg. Beautiful. Take that left armpit towards the tips of your toes, please. That's it. Good. And then slowly unwind. Yep, it's a balance you're meant to fall out of. Come back to center. Bring that right foot back into the low lunge. You got it. And then lift your back knee up. And then take those arms forward and up into a high lunge. Good. Squeeze your legs towards each other. Good. That squeezing in gives you a little bit more feeling that you can lift through your side waist, get super long. And then bring your hands together at your heart center and prayer twist. Left elbow to the outside of that right knee. Draw your navel back towards your spine. So as you're twisting, there's a support for the back. Kick your back thigh up higher. Good. Nice, you guys. Heart rotates, shoulders drop, neck gets longer. Beautiful. Really nice. It's a good, Laura. Beautiful, Heidi. Nice, Andy. Come back to center, arms to the sky, high lunge. Again, your transitions matter. Good. What your mind is doing coming in and out of a pose matters. Release your hands to the floor. So if your mind is already defeated, like, oh, that sucked. That's what you take with you into the next pose. Leave that behind. Good. Step back to downward facing dog. And that's what we're watching, is how we move through the world, and do we constantly leave ourselves behind, leave parts of ourselves behind. Come forward to plank pose, please, upward push-up. Good, lower all the way down to the floor, slow, coming to your knees first. Good, bend your knees again, please. Keep your heels in towards your butt. Root down through the tops of those knees. Good, so as you root down through your knees, again, you get that little lift through the front of your pelvis. Good, front of your thighs. And then scoop into your belly here, press into your hands as though you're about to press up into a reverse push-up. And now keep that energy in your rib cage as you lift your heart forward and up, come into your cobra. But press into your hands, pull your chest forward like you're gonna drag your heart away from your hips. And keep those knees rooting down. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release all the way back onto your belly. Nice job. Press back to child's pose and come up through hands and knees. Do a little cat and cow before that if you need it. Then hips back to your heels. Good. An interesting thing, right? When you're in child's pose, are you in a true place of rest? Or are you just in a place of wondering what's coming next? So you're able to practice that softening, so that your mind can relax a little bit and that feeling of the heart space can be more present. And maybe heart space isn't the word that you would use to describe that, whatever is beyond your mind, but whatever word you choose to use, can you feel what's beyond your mind thinking about what's coming next or what just happened? Move your torso to the right, please, belly over the right thigh. Let your left wrist maybe cross over top of your right. You just have that feeling of drawing the left side ribs longer. And then come back to center, please, and move yourself to the left, belly over the left thigh. Good. Let your right wrist go over top of the left. So again, you have that feeling of just stretching through the armpit a little deeper. Good. And bring yourself all the way back to center. Come back up onto hands and knees. Downward facing dog. Good. And step your right foot forward between the hands, please, lunge. Walk your hands forward in front of you, step up to standing split. So take that left thigh parallel to the floor. You got it. Right hip is stacked over right ankle. Good. Again, blocks underneath the hands if you'd like. Scoop into your low belly here, round just like you did in that chair pose, right? So you curl into that low belly, turn your left hip wider to the left. Good. Then kick that left thigh up a little higher. Nice, you guys. And just stay in that curl, right? Consistently pull up through your low belly. Like, don't give up on that. Good. Kick that thigh up a little higher. Let your weight lean forward towards your hands. Nice. Then maybe look forward towards your fingertips here and then come up on the tippy toes of your right foot. So rise up, pull that heel up. Good. So again, you're pulling from that low belly, but now you're lengthening through the entire leg to get your hips as high as you can go. Good. Then release that heel down to the floor. Walk your hands back towards that foot any amount. So just changing your balance a little bit. For some of you, maybe you take one hand or both to hold your ankle. Good. This little game you play is how much do I trust myself? And how do I respond when I think I'm going to fall? Or when I actually do fall? Good. Release your hands back to the floor, please. Nice job. Step your left foot forward alongside the right, standing forward fold. Yeah. Take your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Good. Left leg, standing leg. Draw your right knee up in towards your chest. Yep. As you draw that knee in, send the top of your left side back, scoop into your belly. So again, you're not arching the ribs, but you're trying to get this feeling of getting long through your back body. And then left hand comes to outer right knee, right hand can come to your sacrum. Press your sacrum back into your hand. Keep that happening. And now begin to twist to your right. So you're turning your belly towards that front knee. Press your knee wide into your hand. And then you have the option here of straightening that right leg. Some of you can even reach for the big toe instead of the knee. Good, but you're still in that twist. Maybe you take the left arm back, or sorry, the right hand back behind you, extend through both arms. But even if you're in that straight leg, press your sacrum back. Yeah, good. And then bring yourself back to center. Please hug that right knee in towards your chest. Good. And then you're going to step that leg all the way back behind you into a lunge. Yeah, you can't see. You got to step all the way back to where you can't see. Good. Drop your heel to 45 degrees. Take that foot wider if you need, and then swing the arms up alongside your ears, warrior one. Good. So if you find that back heel, you're still turning your right hip forward. You're still lengthening through that side waist, and you're drawing the throat back. Beautiful. Take your hands back behind you. Please interlace your fingers. Good. Draw your ribs in, because the minute you tried to straighten your arms, you pushed your ribs forward. So draw in and get taller. Pull your sternum up. Good. And now maintain that as you start to bow forward, taking the arms up and over any amount. So that forward action means that as soon as you get close to that side, you got to pull your ribs in and up. And then take those arms up and over, and they're going to get stuck somewhere. So then you've got to really work at that hug of your shoulder blades behind your heart. And the lift of your arm goes forward and up towards the tips of your toes. Look forward like you're going to bring your sternum to the tips of your toes. And then drop your head. Nice. Good, you guys. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Spin that back heel up. Good. And then walk your hands forward one more time. Step back up into standing split. Why? Because you don't want to. Good. Drop that right hip nice and wide as you pull up through your left low belly. Beautiful. Bend your right knee here. Keep your heel in towards your butt. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Beautiful. Left hand stays where it is or on a block. Go ahead and take your right hand to your right hip. Open the rib cage as well into that Ardha Chandrasana variation. Good. If you'd like to reach back for the foot or the ankle here, you may. Good. But pay attention to, again, that feeling of drawing your rib cage in and drawing your throat back. Good. Extend that leg all the way back nice and long. Release the right hand down to the floor. Retransition back into standing split. Scoop your belly, turn your pelvis. Good. Then step it all the way back into lunge, all the way back to downward facing dog. Nice job. Vinyasa if you choose, or take a child's pose or hang out in dog. If you're doing the vinyasa, come forward to plank, lower down to your belly. Rise up your choice of cobra with the legs straight or knees bent. Nice, Laura. Good. Then exhaling yourself back to downward facing dog. Nice job. Pedal your feet just a little bit. Let your hips move from side to side. Good. And then steady your heels, again, softening your knees and just noticing what happens when you consciously soften your knees. What else softens? Right? Whole practice, when we soften one thing inside of ourselves, many things become softer. And softness is what we're looking for, right? Not that nothing is engaged, but that we're not over engaged. We're not tense. Left foot steps forward between the hands, please. Good. Walk your hands forward in front of you. Step up to standing split. Right side parallels the floor. This is the second side, correct? Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
We ended on the reverse side.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I figured that I wouldn't get very far in this sequence doing this. Somebody would tell me. Scoop into your belly, please. Round as much as you can. Turn that right hip nice and wide. So again, stay with that feeling of pulling up through your low belly, keeping those right toes oriented down towards the floor. Scoop, scoop, scoop. Get round. Good. This is the thing that I want you to be able to feel and stay feeling, because we give this cue and you're like, oh, okay, I got it. But then the minute we do something else, you're like, I let it go. Don't let it go. Keep kicking that thigh up a little higher, scoop into your belly. And then come up onto the ball of that left foot. This just makes you work a little harder, right? And I have to pull up even more. Kick that right thigh up. Everything you've got, your whole body is working here. Stretch out to that right inner thigh, right heel. Beautiful. And then let that heel touch back down towards the floor. Walk your hands back with that left foot and your mouth. Keep scooping into your low belly here. One hand or both can reach for your ankle. And again, it's to see how much do I rely on my hand to maintain my balance. Good. Nice. Falling is all right. And then release your hands back down to the floor, please. Step that right foot forward alongside the left, standing forward, fold. Deep breath in. Good. Exhale audibly. Hot. There you go. Nice, you guys. And then take your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Ooh. It's right. Right foot, standing foot. Left knee comes up in towards your chest. Send your right thigh up and back. Draw your ribs back. So again, you're trying to get this feeling of really drawing everything into the back body. Right hand comes to outer left knee. Press that knee slightly wide. Send the top of your right thigh back. Left hand to your sacrum. Start to find that twist. And as you twist, again, the tendency is going to be for everything to start to shift forward. So press your sacrum back into that hand and fold your ribs in. Good. Optional here is to straighten that left leg, either holding still outside of the knee or reach for the ankle or the foot. Good. But even if you're reaching for that foot, you got to press your sacrum back in space, widen your inner thighs. Yeah, pull that left thigh wide to the left. Other. There you go. Good. Come back to center, please. Hugging that knee back in towards your chest. And then step that leg back behind you into a nice long lunge, right? Even though you can't see where it's going, step it back. Good, with confidence. Drop your left heel to 45 degrees. Take those arms forward and up. Warrior one. Beautiful. I used to talk about in your transitions that you should be doing as little movement as possible to move from one pose to the next. So the way you place your feet is very conscious, saying, I know where I've been, I know where I'm going. I trust where I'm placing my feet, where I place my hands. Everything you do is significant. Take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, please. Shrug those shoulders up, squeeze the upper arms, and then notice that all of that causes you to pop your ribs forward, because that's what makes it feel like you're getting more stretch. Pull your ribs back. Don't fall for that trap. Good. Heart goes higher. Get taller. Now start to bow forward, stretching the arms up and over and your mouth. And as you come forward, don't lead with your ribs. Pull those ribs in. Extend forward from your collarbones and send your tail back simultaneously. Rotate that left inner thigh back and in. Soften that left knee. Squeeze your feet towards each other. Good. Bring that right knee forward towards the ankle. Beautiful. Head's going to reach the floor one day, but make it so that you're reaching your heart towards the floor. Good. And then release the hands all the way down. Nice job. Spin that back heel up, please. Walk your hands forward. Step back up into standing split. I know you're almost there. You can do it. I know you're on the other side of standing split now. Yep. Good. Left toes turn down. Nice, you guys. And then bend that left knee, please kick your heel in towards your butt. Start to stack the left hip on top of the right, not by collapsing into that right thigh crease, but by pulling up and out of that thigh crease. Good. And then right hand stays where it is underneath the shoulder. Start to turn your ribs, taking that left arm up to the sky, Ardha Chandrasana. Good. All of it. And then if you want to reach back to the foot or the ankle, go for it. Remembering to draw your rib cage in and pull your butt back towards your back of your mat. Right butt cheek swivells around. Good. Extend that leg all the way back to straight, please. Nice. Release the left hand down to the floor. Curl into your belly. Turn your hips back to standing split. Again, your transitions matter. And then step yourself back to lunge. Come back to downward facing dog. Good. Deep breath in. And then exhale, knees to the floor, please. Child's pose. Good. We can say that you are never out of a pose as long as you are on your mat doing asanas. You are never out of the mode of asana, right? Every action that you take is informing the next pose that you're going to be in. And you start to look at the simple things that you do every day as those opportunities that I'm continuing a way of being in the world that is conscious. It's aware. Doesn't mean that you take everything that you do super seriously, but it means that you're paying attention. You're not frivolous. Or rather, you can do frivolous things, but you're not frivolous with your energy, with your participation. You find that the way that you act is a reflection of who you are. It has nothing to do with what is or is not going on. It's you are who you are. Take one more deep breath, breathing into that low spine. Good. And start to walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice. Good. Come to sit up on your shins. If you have a block and you want to place a block underneath your sacrum, you can do that. For Virasana, so you're coming up into Virasana, up on your shins. The knees are facing straight ahead. Block between your feet if you cannot sit between your feet. Nice. And then just stretch that right arm up to the sky. Bend the elbow, place the hand behind your heart. Reach that left hand up just to hold the tip of the elbow. Giving a little more stretch to that upper arm. And then noticing even this, your ribs are probably popping forward. Draw your ribs back, drop your sit bones onto that block. Good. And probably right there, you're like, that's the achy spot in my lower back. Yes, it is. So you got to maintain this feeling of dropping into your sit bones so that that part of your lower back is not constantly going into that arched position. Good. One more breath. And then go ahead and just switch the arms. So extend both arms up and then bend the left elbow, place the hand behind your heart, right hand holds the tip of that elbow. Again, just stretching the upper arm, watching that your throat is moving back, sternum is lifted, but ribs pull towards the back of your body and soften into your sit bones. Spread through your toes. Good. Nice. Give just a little pull of that elbow back into your hands. So you feel a little resistance. You're pushing your elbow outward towards the left. So your hand is pulling it towards the center line. Nice. And then slowly release the arms. Good. Come on up onto your shins, please, to lift your butt briefly. You're going to step your right foot forward in front of you. And then you're going to come back into that half Virasana. So your left leg is going to stay folded, heel towards the outside of your hip. And then extend that right leg straight in front of you. So for some of you, the block will no longer be necessary. In this half virasana, you might feel like you're comfortable sitting flat or with a blanket underneath you instead of a block. But if that's not the case, make sure you keep the block where it is. Good. Yep, half virasana. So your hips should still be in line with each other. They should still be pretty much level. Nice. Right leg extended. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky here. And then exhale, bow forward over the right leg. Good. And again, in this position, it might mean that you are simply working with the legs and there's no such thing as a forward fold that's going to happen. Good. But dig that right heel down and back. And again, get as long as you can from your hip to your armpit. You keep your feet really rooted, but you reach as long as you can for your spine and relax your shoulders. Good. And April is probably the month that if you're taking yoga classes anywhere where someone is interested in Hanuman, you're going to do the most split poses you're ever going to do in your life, the month of April. There's a reminder that every time we go to do anything, that the goal is not to accomplish it in a perfect way, but the goal is to give everything you have to it. And that doesn't mean overextend yourself. It means that whatever you have to give to that practice of understanding how to do that pose, give it. And take whatever benefit you can. Right? Leave nothing out. Good. Start to walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice. So you guys start to lift yourself up out of the pose, dragging that right knee back so you can come up onto both knees. Shift yourself out of the pose. You got it. And then you're going to switch sides. So you're going to step your left foot forward in front of you. Right knee is going to be folded now, or right thigh is folded. Heel should be just to the outside of your hip. So again, you're not sitting on that heel, you're sitting inside of that heel, or you're using a block underneath your seat. Left leg is extended forward. Good. Press that heel down and drag back. And again, if you are someone who has very bendy knees and your knee is falling into that hyperextension, make sure that you keep softening it. Good. And then inhale those arms up. Bow over the left leg. Forward. Ardha Virasana. Good. Nice, you guys. Keep your seat rooting down to the floor here. The split poses are so beneficial for a lot of things, but mostly I think because they irritate us. Most of us don't want to do them. We don't really like them that much. They're hard. It's anything that irritates you that gives you the best opportunity to really find all parts of yourself. You start to undo those habits of saying, if I'm irritated by the world, as I start to shut down, close off, try and get away. Good. You can always be in Janu Shirshasana here too, of having the leg folded under doesn't work, and bring the foot to the inside of the thigh and let the knee go wide. You can take one more breath. And then slowly start to walk yourself back in. Good. As you press into that right shin, use your hands to help yourself lift up. Pull that left heel back in. There you go. Nice, you guys. Bring yourself back to hands and knees, please. So lifting your butt up off the block, you can place your block to the side. Hands and knees. Good. Do a little hip circling to move your pelvis. Good. You realize that split pose that is the classic Hanumanasana is one that is done imperfectly. If you see Hanuman in that position, it's not a perfect, gymnastics play. It's a monkey flying through the air, taking a big leap. Move your hips the other direction, please. So there's the ability to let go of that feeling that we have to do it perfectly. The point is not the split. The point is, what are you leaping from and what are you leaping towards? And are you giving everything you can to that leap? Good. Come back to stillness, please. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, down dog. Set you up too much, you know it's coming. Step your right foot forward between your hands. Good, drop that back knee, please. Use blanket underneath the knee if you'd like on Shavasana. Good, so give yourself a moment to stretch those arms up to the sky. Just feel yourself pressing through that front foot. I want you to remember how strong your legs are, right? Press into that foot, press into that back thigh, squeeze. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Good, move that left hip back in space. Start to stretch that right leg forward in front of you any amount towards that Ardha Hanumanasana. Good. And then the option here is to stay in this half position or start to slide your left leg back as well, coming into any version of that full split Hanumanasana. Good. And I want you to remember how strong your legs are. So maybe for a moment you tuck your back toes and lift your back knee and squeeze your legs like crazy, just like you did in Anjaneyasana, as though you were going to stretch your arms up towards the sky. Good. No intention of getting to the floor. Just how strong can I get my legs to be? Good. Squeeze that left hip forward. Pull up through your low belly. Lift your shoulders, lift your heart, lift your throat. Yeah, get vertical. Vertical, vertical. I don't care where your legs go. Nice. Maybe you trust yourself enough to take one arm to the sky, even if you're nowhere near the floor. Yes. Maybe you trust yourself to take both arms to the sky. No. Nice, Andy. Good. Release the hands. Thanks, Lena. Release the hands to the floor, please. Pull those legs together as you press into your hands and pull into that low belly to lift your hips. Come back to downward facing dog. Do this gracefully. Do it. Pull everything up and in. Yeah. I used to make the joke that there's no graceful way out of Hanumanasana, but it's a lie. You just did it. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. You got it. Step your left foot forward between the hands. Good. Drop that back knee. Use a blanket if you'd like. Inhale the arms to the sky. Anjaneyasana. Again, do not forget, never forget how strong you actually are. Press through that front heel. Squeeze the legs. Our challenge is that we don't engage with our strength consciously very often unless we have to. So what would happen if you did it on purpose? Just because you know it's there. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Shift that right hip back on top of the right knee. Take your left leg forward, straight, come up on the heel. Ardha Hanumanasana. And again, it's great to stay here. This is your split today. Stay. Perfect. But if you want to go for that longer extension, slide that right leg back as well. And then squeeze your legs towards each other, just like you had in Ardha and Anjaneyasana. And start to get vertical. Maybe blocks underneath the hands, maybe just fingertips. Start to lift your chest. Don't hang your head in shame. Right? Lift up. Or don't hang your head in the, I don't want to look at what this pose is. Lift up. Squeeze those legs. Maybe lift the back knee. That's it. Good. Pull up through your belly. Maybe one arm goes to the sky. Maybe both arms go to the sky. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Don't stop squeezing. As long as you're in the pose, you are squeezing your leg towards each other. Good, Lisa. Beautiful, you guys. Release your hands down to the floor. And then again, same thing. Squeeze everything together. Press into your hands. Pull up through your belly. Lift those hips. And take your legs back to the downward facing dog. Excellent. Pedal your feet. Again, your transitions matter. Don't give up just because something was hard or didn't go the way you wanted. Come forward, plank pose, please. Lower all the way down to the belly. Rise up into cobra, lift head, neck, and chest, pointing back through the toes. Again, as you press back with that cobra pose, draw your ribs back, squeeze those chins towards each other. And then release back onto your belly and flip over onto your back. Done. Bend your knees, please. Right ankle comes on top of left thigh. And then lift your left shin parallel to the floor, please. Good. Larry, just turn yourself around. Nice, guys. So your groin's moving down towards the floor, low belly drawing in. Hanumanasana first thing on a Saturday morning, check. And his Hanuman's story, right, is that everything that he does that we think is so magnificent, he was doing just because he had to. He didn't set out saying, I want to be a hero. He set out being like, I don't know, I love Ram so much. Turns out he had to leap across an ocean. Turns out he had to go drag a mountain back to a battlefield. Turns out he had to do this, that, the other. It's like, not what's in front of you. Treat it as significant and give everything you can to it. Go ahead and switch the legs, please, taking your left ankle over that right thigh. Right shin parallel to the floor. Again, you can reach through to hold the leg if you'd like. Thank you. Yeah, this is an awesome thing to do with your foot against a wall. Sometimes that's all I do is I stand here and I pretend to be a wall. And you hear that word devotion because you'll hear it over and over again. Take enough classes. So remember that it reminds us to live not from our head, but from our heart. Which doesn't mean to be emotional all the time, but to have a sense that what is in your heart is allowed to express itself in the world. It's allowed to be there. It's supposed to be there. And so whatever you choose to do in the world, you do it with that sense of this is who I am meeting the world. The world does not tell me who I should be. Right, take one more breath here. And then slowly release, hugging the knees in towards your chest. Good. Place those feet down to the floor, hips width apart. Nice. Take your arms alongside you, bend the elbows into robot arms. And then pressing down into the upper arms, pressing down into your feet, start to lift the hips up off of the floor. Good. Inhaling towards bridge, don't hit your maximum. And then exhale, start to lower the hips down almost to the floor. And then pause. And then inhale, take your hips back up into bridge, almost to your maximum. And then exhale the hips back down, almost to the floor. And just keep doing that. Up into bridge, almost to your maximum. And exhaling back down, almost to the floor. Good. The idea is to start to become aware of all the space that you have in between your maximum. Fully engaged or not engaged at all. You notice, are you lifting only from your hips or is your heart rising up as well? Move from the heart. Good. Next time, as you exhale, release the hips all the way down. Just pause there, letting the groin soften towards the floor, relaxing your butt, your sit bones, and you feel that kind of slide. Feeling the thigh bones just soften into the hip socket. Feeling your ribs relax your arms. Lovely about kirtan, if you've never done it, is that you find yourself falling into this very interesting space when you're just screaming Hare Krishna for 20 minutes. Again, I'm joking. That's not what happens in kirtan. You get so lost in the actual words, the actual chanting, that when the sound stops, it's like you don't even know where you are. It's a beautiful feeling of being lost. It reminds us that there is something much bigger than what our mind is paying attention to. Can you find that in your life somewhere? It doesn't have to be through kirtan, but a place where you are aware of what is bigger than what your mind is looking at. Just one more deep breath. And then start to draw your knees in towards your chest, please. Good. Bring the bottoms of your feet together. Let your knees go wide, but don't drop your feet to the floor. Just hold your ankle. Good. So your knees are angled up towards your armpits or towards your shoulders. Low back is rooted to the floor. Get that low belly to engage so those knees really pull up through your armpits. Good. And then start to squeeze your knees towards each other just a little bit and press your forearms wide into your shins. So you're giving resistance. You're squeezing your knees towards each other like you're squeezing them in, but then you're pressing your forearms wide to give that resistance. Good. And then release that squeeze, letting your knees pull towards your upper arms or towards your armpits as your low back roots to the floor. Do it one more time. Squeeze your knees towards each other, press those elbows wide. Good. And then release the squeeze, drawing the knees towards those outer armpits. And then last time, squeeze those knees in, press your forearms wide. So again, you're giving resistance, root your tailbone down to the floor. And then relax that squeeze, let the knees pull towards the armpit. Beautiful. And then reach for happy baby. You're already holding your ankles. Just take your heels on top of your knees. Good. Beautiful, you guys. Deep breath in. Then as you exhale, lift your shoulders up off the floor. And if you choose, start to wrap your arms around the calves of your legs, like you're going to bring your feet up over your head. Just curl in. Yep, curl, curl, curl. Nice. And then slowly release. Squeezing those knees in towards your chest. Please do a little massage on your lower back. And then if there's a final spinal twist you'd like to take, go ahead and take it. Otherwise, stretch the legs out in front of you and let yourself drop into Shavasana. Or just turn yourself. But make sure you take your twist in the opposite direction. Let yourself, as you're ready, come to that settled place. See if you can come back to your breath, moving in and out, not heart speed. Your presence in the world is not limited to your physical edges of your body, that it rides the wave of that heart awareness. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. The body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Let the hands come together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, elbows wide, or alternative is to place the palms flat on the heart. To actually remind yourself that you're not just extending that heart out into the world with no thought, but that you're feeling that your whole self is able to expand from this space. Your mind doesn't think you into existence, your heart feels you into reality. Because the truth is that your mind is just a tool for the soul. Your heart is a voice for the soul. This body is an expression for the soul. So while it might seem easy to forget all of that and let your mind make everything seem small because you're reacting to just what's right in front of you, try to remember. Make it a practice that you remember that there's that bigness that exists inside of you. And whenever you reach for it, it will answer. And the more you reach for it, the more it will answer. And the bigger you reach for it, the bigger it will answer. And just like Hanuman, we just have to do what's in front of us, but we have to give everything we have to it. And when we seek that, then we find out that we are far more than we ever thought we were. And that's the beauty, is that your mind can't comprehend what you are. So you go somewhere that can, your heart. You feel that just spreading out into the world as big as it can possibly be. Because your heart is bigger than the world. Let yourself breathe that every day, just a little bit. And when you forget, that's why we have Hanuman, reminds us. Give everything you can to this life. Deep breath in for the sound of Om. Bringing the palms together and sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, rest of your week until I see you again. Check out the email listings. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up, puppy yoga and Reiki trainings and EFT tappings and Jin Shin Jitsu on a Monday, I think. But, take a look. There's lots of cool stuff going on. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, V.
Have a great day.
Thank you.